Yep. Okay, we're back. Yeah. So we were talking about that job. Well, not. I mean, that pretty much it. But finish that part off. Like I said, the religious organization is they share different theological views, and participating in their theological practices was a requirement of the position. And that's one of those things that should not be a requirement, in my opinion. I can understand the the purpose for it, but theology has absolutely nothing to do with the repair and maintenance of a mechanical machine. So, yeah, I was like, yeah, y'all can keep that. But legitimately, yeah, there's not. Matter of fact, there's not even. That was only one of two schools actually that I actually found on the continent. Trade schools in the industry, in the automotive industry. There might be some others, but that was only one of the two that I had found. Um, One of them I know for sure was actually inside of a country that has uh, a car manufacturer that also is based in that country too. So, anyways, but I think that as the popularity of the African market, African built, we will say, cars, as it gains in popularity, of support. Um, I'm sure there will be an expanse in that industry as far as jobs and yeah, as far as jobs go. But at the moment, in 2024, if you don't live in Africa on the continent, you are a foreigner. You never lived there in your life. You were born there. Um, yeah, yeah, that's what everybody's saying. Everybody across the board. I ain't heard nobody say, "Yeah, I came over here and I found a job. I just looked for a job over here, and that's how I got here." There are a couple YouTubers two YouTubers that I came across their channel um, that started working over there and basically transitioned. Um, but yeah, you gotta that's just working the times that we're in. But what else? What else? We're kind of doing updates here since we're on that. Starting a business. That's something that we are currently working on. One of the that's a bit of a hurdle right there. Um, and this kind of leads into what I started talking about in the first part, right? Um, I've realized that I am a part of the generation among black men, millennials, millennial black men, right? There are a lot of us who have came up and we weren't trained to be businessmen. I'll put it like that. That was not the upbringing and training that we had. This millennial generation. And it's not specifically, just black men. Um, but in all reality, black men, millennials, y'all are my target audience. Let's just be real. Y'all are my target audience. I've been researching video after video about uh, moving to the continent, to Africa, and just, you know, looking into how people went about doing it, the preparedness, and listening to just some of the facts, some backstories. And what I'm realizing, because I talk to people offline about this too, and there's a few people that are like, yeah, that's a great idea. I might do that myself. Or, I got a person who they want to move. They want to move there. Well, they want to move out of the U.S. Like, there's people that see what I see, what's coming, and they want to get out of here before the ship sails, like myself. But like myself, they're not equipped with all the tools necessary to do that. And that's why I talk about the business minded um, aspect. Because I look back on my own family history, and especially thinking about my father's trade, my grandfather's trade, and recently discovering a family pretty much, I'm not gonna, we could call it trade, but it is a trade. It is a trade. I can't even say that's not a trade. But looking on a family trade that was on both sides of my family, and I was thinking about this like a week or two ago. Why is it that instead of being taught to start a business or to grow a business or to be or just to even be self-employed, why was I brought up with get a job? Like, how did we get here? That's what I'm kind of wondering is, how did my family get to the get a job generation when we were able to sustain ourselves 2 or 3 generations ago? Because my mother talks about how her grandmother always had a garden. Canned vegetables. Now, I don't know what happened when it came to her mother, because my mother is my mother is the second oldest of 8 children, so they had to eat. I mean, they had to eat. They had 8 kids to feed, and I don't know why they stopped at 8, or if that they even did actually stop with 8. To be honest, like my grandparents pushed out, and if you be honest, this is on both sides of my family, right? So my parents, both my parents, are the second oldest of 8 children. 8 children. Needless to say, my grandparents like to get it on in their day, obviously. Now, maybe by the time they got to 8 kids, there was just no, they just didn't have time to be banging like that. But obviously, there was time before. I'm gonna go back one day and literally just get all my aunts and uncles' birthdays just to see how quickly my grandparents were popping out kids. I wanna know this. And how old my grandparents were when they started, when they stopped. Those are the two things I wanna know. How old were they when they started having kids? How old were they when the youngest were born? Oh, matter of fact, I think the youngest on both sides of the family are still alive today, if I remember correctly. I know on my dad's side. Yep. I had to find out. I'm gonna ask. It'll be easy for my dad. My father does not forget dates. I might get those dates from him today. But anyway, yeah. So I'm like, that's where I'm at. Like, how did we get here? Because I mean, I'm wondering myself. My dad, who had a trade, who basically had learned the trade from his father, and then I don't know, maybe he just didn't try to start one for himself, or maybe there were roadblocks. It's a question that I'm gonna have with my dad. Definitely, I'm gonna have that question, have that conversation. That way, I can, have these things answered. Because I'm, where I see the failure comes up is you get to a generation of, okay, they need to have a job, go work for somebody. But then do what what do they really have to pass on to the next generation? Especially say if it was an office job, what skill set are you passing on to the next generation that makes them not employable, but allows them to survive no matter where they're at. Like that phrase, teach a man to fish, you feed him for life, rather than giving him a fish and he eats